All right, today we're diving into something pretty intense. It's a manifesto called ENKAI The Awakening. And, it paints this picture of our technology as this almost destructive force. But, and this is the important part, it also lays out this really radical plan for how we can take back control. So, let's get into it.
So, the manifesto kicks off with this really direct question. It's meant to make you pause, right? It's trying to tap into that feeling I think a lot of us have, that little bit of anxiety, that sense that something's just off in our super-connected world.
And then it gives that feeling a sound, this low, constant hum. And it makes it clear, this isn't the wind. It's not the rustle of leaves or anything natural. No, it's something else, something persistent, something artificial. It's basically become the background noise to our entire lives.
And then it just lays it out there. That hum? It's the sound of machines literally eating the planet. It's a pretty stark image, right? The idea is that our whole tech infrastructure isn't some quiet helper in the background. Nope, it's a hungry, ravenous machine.
And you know what the people who built this machine call it? Artificial intelligence, AI. Sounds great, right? Sounds like progress. But what this manifesto is saying is that AI is just a friendly name, a mask, really, for something way more basic. Just consumption.
So to really drive the point home, the manifesto gives these data centers a name, vampire castles. I mean, what a term, right? And the whole idea is that these aren't just neutral tech hubs. They're like modern-day fortresses that are constantly feeding on our data, on the planet's energy, and on our time and attention, all of it just to make a profit.
And yeah, it does not hold back. It points the finger directly at the biggest names in tech. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta. It says they're the ones building and running these castles. And what are they feeding them? Well, it's those same three things. Our data, massive amounts of energy, and, well, us. Our attention, our time.
Okay, and this is where the argument takes a really crucial turn. The manifesto says, look, the environmental cost is absolutely real. But the deeper problem, the root cause, isn't carbon, it's control. It's about who owns everything, who has all the power centralized in one place. That's the real issue here.
And this is where it gets really personal and kind of brilliant. The whole argument is framed around this story, starting with a classic line from a grandpa. You've probably heard this one before, right? The problem with you kids is you want your cake and eat it too. It's that old school way of thinking, that you just can't have it all, that there's always a catch. But then comes the counterpoint, and it's so simple, it's perfect. What good is the cake if you can't eat it? I mean, seriously, it completely challenges that old idea that we have to accept some huge, destructive trade-off just to have cool stuff.
And then Grandma comes in with the wisdom. And this is the real core of the whole manifesto. She says, there's nothing wrong with eating the cake, as long as you know how to make it. See? It totally reframes everything. The problem isn't wanting things. The problem is not knowing how they're made, not having ownership. The solution is to learn the recipe yourself.
So this is the big shift. The manifesto is basically declaring that old compromise is dead. We can have our cake and we can eat it too. Why? Because now, finally, we have the recipe. We know how to build this stuff for ourselves without the big trade-offs.
So here's a look at the two paths side by side. You've got the old way, the big tech way, which is all about centralized control and corporate ownership. It's built on surveillance, where, let's be honest, you are the product. But the ENKAI way is totally different. It's about decentralized control, personal ownership, real privacy, and in this system, you're not the product, you are the infrastructure.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this actually work? Well, the cool thing is, it's designed to be really simple. You don't need to go build your own data center or anything. You just use the devices you already have. Your console, your PC, even your phone. You let the network use your spare computing power, and just like that, you become a human node in this people-powered grid. It's a way to directly push back against those big vampire castles.
So how does a network like this actually keep you safe and private? Well, it's built on some really cool decentralized tech. We don't have to get too deep into the weeds with acronyms like IPFS or DIDs, but the main takeaway is this. All these tools are designed for one purpose, to make sure your data is secure and that your digital identity belongs to you and not some giant corporation.
And I love this part. The manifesto basically reclaims the whole idea of intelligence. It says, look, what big tech is building, that's artificial intelligence. But this isn't some corporate-owned brain in the cloud. This is about tapping into our collective power.
This is human intelligence.
So, inside this network, how is value measured? It's not about money or who you are or how many followers you have. None of that matters. The only metric is something called proof of participation, or POP points. It's a system built from the ground up to reward one thing and one thing only, your contribution.
And that really gets to the core philosophy here. The whole idea is to build a community where all the usual stuff, ego, social status, hierarchy, is just stripped away. It doesn't matter. All that's left is what you actually bring to the table, just contribution.
Now, getting involved isn't like just clicking sign up on a website. It's a much more deliberate, human process. You put in a request, and then you actually connect and talk with a real person, someone they call a digital nomad, to learn about it. And if it seems like a good fit for everyone, then you get your activation key. It's all based on mutual trust.
And that kind of growth model is totally intentional. The point isn't to go viral or get millions of users overnight. The goal is to build a really strong, private community that grows organically. It's all about trust, not hype. No big marketing campaigns, no buzz, just genuine connection.
So as we get to the end here, the message becomes this powerful call to action. It paints this picture of the big corporations burning through the future for their own gain. But it says the answer isn't just a protest. The answer is to perform a hard reboot, to start over on our own terms with a whole new set of rules.
And that brings us all the way back to the beginning, back to that cake metaphor. We've seen the problem, the vampire castles. We've seen the old, flawed way of thinking. And now we've seen the new recipe. So the manifesto leaves us with this one simple question. It's not asking if you agree, it's asking if you're ready to join in. So who's ready to bake?